You're listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently from Jen Du Plessis, America's mortgage mastery mentor with over 37 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. Jen has been mentoring loan officers and realtors for over 15 years and speaking on stages across the globe. So settle in and get ready as Jen and her guests share their experience, passion, and strategies to help you crack the top producer code to reach new heights in your business. And now, here's your host, Jen Du Plessis, Mortgage Mastery Mentor and head chick in charge of Kinetic Spark Consulting.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Mortgage Lending Mastery. I'm your host, Jen Du Plessis. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's important because you're busy, busy people, and I love when you can take time out of your day to learn something new that hopefully you're going to be able to put into play by the time we're finished with today. But my guest today, I'm so excited. I'm always excited when I can bring one of our clients on because this particular client, actually, she may be the longest running client I have. Close. But I love Jen Otto because she takes action. That's the biggest thing. I mean, there's lots of reasons why I love her, but one of the things is that, she's an action taker, and that's how she's getting the results that she's looking for in her practice. So with that said, Jen, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about your mortgage career. Let's kind of start with that. Your mortgage career, a little synopsis on it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I have loved being a part of in your world and in proximity to you for as long as I have been. So my background is I actually started in mortgage lending 27, almost 28 years ago, and spent the majority of my career behind the scenes. I was the processor. I was a production manager, loan officer's assistant. And I had promised myself that by the time I turned 40, that I would no longer be building someone else's dreams, that I would start taking action on building my own. And so I just made it under the line. But that's a little bit about kind of where I've been and what I've done in my career so far.
Yeah. And so you went into origination, right? I mean, the key was to move over to origination, and we met, and we were talking about this just so everybody knows, and I don't mind sharing it. You know, because you listen to the podcast all the time. We have already we thought we recorded the podcast, and we're now having to re-record it again because of technology. You know how that goes. But one of the things that we were talking about is that you made that transition into being a loan officer because you wanted to create some more wealth, some more freedom, take all these skills that you had and apply it to being able to make more money. And then you made the change, and then, oh my gosh, COVID came. And so there's been a lot of changes. And we obviously know that as we're recording this, it's a tough market. We know it. It's a very, very tough market. And we met through the fact that you were listening to the podcast, and that was exciting.
Yes.
Too. That was an exciting time. So, but what I want to talk about is that, so often on this podcast, we talk about multiple streams of income. I brought on syndication opportunities. I brought on investor opportunities. Sometimes they're not even related to the business opportunities, just so that loan officers could have, and realtors could have multiple streams of business. And, you mentioned that your goal was to make a transition at 41. As I've mentioned before, I had multiple goals. I wanted to fund $1 billion by the time I was not going to say that I was in the business for 40 years. And now here I am, still related to the business for 40 years. And I also wanted to retire by the time I was 55, and I accomplished it when I was 54. So the trigger was the $1 billion. I happened to be 54, and I happened to be 35 years. Setting out those kinds of goals, I think, are so important, right? And so that said, for the people that are listening to this podcast, why is it that you decided, because we're going to talk about some of the rev streams that you've created, but why is it that you decided to take this on and say, you know what, I'm not just going to be a loan officer. I'm going to be a loan officer who is playing the game, and it shouldn't even be a game, right? But what I'm doing is I'm manifesting the things that I help my clients do, and that's create wealth. So tell us a little bit about why it was so important, because you do real estate investing now, and you're, we've talked about that over the last couple of years and got you, started on that path. And now you're embarking on something that we don't want to tell anybody yet. So hold on, we'll tell you in a few moments. But why is this so important to you to have additional rev streams?
Well, I mean, I think this market right now is exactly the reason that it's important. Because especially during 2020, 2021, and 2022, whether it was a realtor or loan officer who got in the business, it was like money was just falling off of trees, and it was easy. You could stumble across a deal on accident. And now is really where, those of us who have been in the business for a really long time, we understand the ups and downs of markets, the ebbs and flows. And so it's for times such as this exactly that those additional revenue streams are very, very important, because, what goes up must come down, and what goes down must come up. So, it's just very important to have those things to be able to rely on in a market exactly like what's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I preach to everybody, right? Is just constantly looking for other revenue streams. And we're not talking about RESPA violation revenue streams. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that, you're an entrepreneur when you're a real estate agent or a loan officer. You are an entrepreneur, whether you like it or not. You may be paid differently, but your business depends on your ability to go out and sell you incorporated. And that, I think, is, really, really critical. And it was something that I did, in my practice, made sure that I had, multiple streams of income so that I could leave the business when I was ready, on my terms, not on whatever's happening in the market terms. And here we are in this situation. So, thinking about, obviously do the real estate investing, but let's talk about your new adventure and something that, is just exciting you're putting together, and how it relates to the business, but is totally separate from the business all at the same time. So share with us about what you're doing now.
Well, I'd love to. So, my husband has created a company called Off Market Events, LLC. And this company basically serves real estate agents, and it serves the real estate industry. So, it'll also have a component of classes for consumers. Which is something that I've done for a really, really long time. But then the most fun thing is the continuing education classes on a cruise ship. So we're calling it CE at sea. And that has been a lot of fun to put together. And the idea for this really came because I had gotten CE certified and started teaching CE classes here in the state of Tennessee. And I loved it. I loved going and teaching the classes, and people would sit and you'd see the light bulbs come on. And it was great that I could feel like I was really helping people. And they would come up and they'd shake my hand and thank me so much for the class. It was such a great class. And they'd walk out the door, and I never heard from them again. I could never get them on the phone again. I was not building that relationship with them like I really hope to, because, the information I have to share with people is more than just that 2-hour class or, whatever. And so I thought, gosh, it really would be great if I had an opportunity to build a relationship with this person, these people, for a little bit longer. And because I'm a cruiser, I love to cruise. I've got over 100 days at sea under my belt, most of it for leisure. I was like, well, gosh, that would be a really great way to do it, is combine continuing education classes with a cruise. And so the CE at sea kind of fell out of the sky. I really believe it was a divine inspiration, because I told my husband, I said, it was either a divine inspiration or it is the most elaborate distraction that I've ever concocted in my life.
Yeah.
And as things have been, falling into place and things have been coming together, I truly do believe it is a way for me to help people with their business, help people to pull people from the first year we're doing the entire state of Tennessee. So I'm pulling people from Memphis to Middle Tennessee to Johnson City, and just a really great way of networking, to be able to exchange ideas from people in Memphis to people in Johnson City and everything in between, of what's working in their business. What are some great tools and practices? And because Tennessee has 22 realtor associations, which I found was really fascinating, people
Yeah.
are, they're all in different areas,
Yeah.
LSs. And so being able to share this information, it's not so much a competition thing as it's a collaboration thing. And how can they learn from each other, and how can they get even better and put this stuff into play in their business? And then also, this particular cruise, I chose the date very specifically because it's right before the spring market. And my intention for this cruise is for teams to be able to bring all of their realtors on their team. Bring your transaction coordinator, bring your spouse, bring your children. Have a great time of relaxation, of learning, and then also some team building and some team planning, and get back for right at the beginning of March to start that spring push into selling real estate. So
Yeah.
everything I've done has been with intention, and just to try to make it the best experience for the participants as possible, so that they can really supercharge their spring business and just hit the ground running and be rejuvenated, get that vitamin D, all of that sunshine, because in February in Tennessee it is frozen, it is dark, and it is rainy. And
Yes.
so I really wanted to be able to take them somewhere, get some sunshine, get some refresh, reinvigoration, and ready to really tackle the market.
Yeah, I love that. And there's a couple other things too that are, involved with this. And I'm going to ask you a few other questions too. But, we've talked about this before, is when you go to conferences, a lot of time you're just going. I mean, I go to a lot of things all by myself. So much more fun when you can bring other people, and especially in a situation where you can bring your family and have them be enjoying themselves, and you can pick and choose what CE classes you want to go to. And they're only during your C days. So the rest of the time you're just doing what normal cruisers do. That I think is fantastic. And I know you're going to have some theme things going on too, some little theme parties. But how many hours of CE are you offering, whether someone wants to take all of them or not?
So we're going to have up to 24 hours of CE classes that are available, as you said, but it's including core and ethics. Now,
Yeah.
core and ethics in Tennessee, typically agents have to pay for that. They have to go to a school for that. We actually are bringing one of the school instructors on board with us. So that will be included in the CE offering of that 24 hours. So that is another thing that I'm really excited for, is, it just makes sense, right?
I mean, your cruise is almost free. It's almost free. And we know it's tax deductible because you're going to be doing at least 30% CE or education or work related things. So we know it's tax deductible, but when you look at what the core, core and ethic, the ethics class is, and you look at the cost on that and the expense of that weighing against what you're doing now. So I love it. I love that. And I know also you're going to be going on a cruise with me, called the Marketers Cruise, and we're going to learn.
Yes.
And that's partly why when invited you. I mean, not partly, but I always invite everybody every year, but wanted you to be on this so you can see how it works, because we've done something very similar for the last 17 years, and I've been part of it for the last 8. And, it just runs like clockwork, and you can get tips and whatever. And I also know that you happen to be going on a cruise in a couple of weeks on the same exact ship, on the same exact cruise, that this is going to be happening in February, so that it isn't, oh, it's a surprise. It's brand new. I didn't know, you can anticipate all kinds of things, look for ideas for people. And I love that you're doing your homework with that too. So, super excited about that. So I know, so let's get back to, these times where we are, and we're, saying, okay, this is fun, Jen, you're going to go play, on a cruise ship and stuff, but how is this a revenue stream? How is this really that good?
Well, so in 2025, I will actually be partnering with Captain Lou, who is helping you, or who does the marketers cruise that you're talking about in January. And so, that's really how, when I partner with him, that's really how we will be able to turn this into a revenue stream, because he has a relationship with the cruise lines,
Yes.
where when we book it far enough in advance, the cruise fare price will be so low that by the time, people are booking later next year, that the group price will be below what the actual like regular cruise price is.
Right.
So that's really how that is built in there.
Mhm.
Because we are not charging for the CE. The CE is being donated by the speakers, which is really great. We also are working with sponsors. So for this cruise for 2024, we do have sponsorship positions still available, and the bags and the notebooks that we're going to be giving out to our participants. And we hope to just be able to have like the fun parties and things like that, that typically you see, like I know Captain Lou does some of those as well.
Yeah. 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 There's always some kind of party going on, some kind of theme happening. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And, so who can help you, for everyone who's listening. So, let's say I'm a loan officer in North Dakota and you're talking about all this Tennessee people and this, that, and the other. How can I help? How can I help if I'm a realtor? How can I help if I'm a title company, an insurance agent, a speaker who does continuing education classes for another association in Texas? How can we help you continue to fill this? And what is the deadline? Because I know it's days from when we are releasing this podcast.
Yes, so the group midnight on November 15th. So that doesn't mean you can't go. That just means that the group price that we have locked in expires. So any cabins booked after that point will be what's called market price. So it'll be whatever market rate is that day, just like interest rates. Whatever the market rate is that day when you book that cabin. So to get the best pricing, I just looked at it the other day, and our group price is about $200 less than the average price right now. So if you are wanting to take advantage of our group price, we do still have some balcony cabins and we have a couple of interior cabins left. And then for our sponsors, we do definitely want sponsors. So if you are a company that benefits and your target market is real estate agents, whether a title company, a marketing agency, a printing company, some sort of a digital online platform, and marketing to realtors is something that you do, this is a great opportunity for you to come and get in front of a room of agents. And also, we do have sponsorships available if you don't want to come on the cruise. So if you are like, hey, I just want to send along a video, want to send along some promotional materials, we have two different price points for our sponsorships. One sponsorship includes the cruise, okay? Includes your cabin. For two, we're covering that with your sponsorship. Then there is a sponsorship that includes no cruise. So if you're looking for a little bit more of a budget sponsorship, we do have some of those available as well.
Yeah.
But that would be a huge, 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 huge help, is just sponsorships.
Yeah.
The other thing is in 2025, the next states we are planning to roll this out in is Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. So I am already starting to look for people in the major market cities there to be my spearheads, my group leaders for that cruise in 2025. We've got dates picked out. We will be releasing those after we get off of our 2024 cruise. But we do have dates picked out. So if you are in those states, a continuing education provider, if you are a title company or someone who wants to sponsor, or if you are somebody who wants to be the group leader, basically get to white label this, meaning it looks like your event, it's your thing, but it's going to be me putting all of this stuff in behind you. So that would be a really great thing. I've already reached out to several people just this morning on Facebook. So
Yeah.
that would be a really huge way for people to help me as well.
Yeah. And right now, who do you know who lives in Tennessee who's a real estate agent? Because that's the target that we're trying
Yes.
to, we want to fill up the cabins and stuff. I also know that you have some people that are saying, well, gosh, I don't really have a cabin mate. And so you're doing a little matchmaking for that. So, don't hesitate if that's something that would be, of interest for you. I also want to just expand on the sponsor piece of this too. It's not just standing up in front of a room like you would at a convention or, the back of a restaurant.
No.
You're ingrained with these individuals for 6 days, 7 days, however many days, your whole cruise is.
Yes.
you're ingrained with them that long time, that period of time. This is the time for you to, we all know this in sales, know, like, and trust, right? So this is the time for them to get to know who you are, not just what you do. And it has stickiness to it, and it will
Yep.
increase your business next year. So I think that that's powerful. Okay. So, and we'll put all the links down. I know it's CE, like continuing education, at SEA2024.com. So we'll put all the links in there. And we'll put your link in as well for your website, and for people to email you, if they want to get involved and they want to go on this cruise, in February. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. I'm so excited. This is an exciting thing for you. And I know you do a lot of events. So tell us a little bit about why the shift. And it's not so much a shift as it is an expansion of what you're doing. So
Yep.
tell us a little bit about, because it's not just this event. You have a couple of different things that you do that I'm going to have you share with people. And because of all these events that you do, and now creating an events company, you won an award recently. So tell us about that.
Yes, thank you. So I recently won the Ruthies Award, and that is for Rutherford County, Tennessee. Was picked best lender in Rutherford County. Out of all the mortgage lenders in Rutherford County, I was picked, and I was so excited, overjoyed. My company also won as well, so that was a really big kind of double boost for the company, for me personally. That was a huge deal. I didn't even know I had been nominated.
I know
Someone
her,
else had nominated me, and then it got enough nomination votes.
right?
Yep. And so then when it got into voting, I didn't even know I was up for vote for a week into the whole voting period. And then of course I was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge deal. And so I did. It was a fun night. I had a table of people who were there to support me. I got to dress up in a fancy dress. My husband rented a tux, and it was just a beautiful night. I literally went in not knowing if I had won, if I was like, second or third. But it was just a really, really nice night. And then the cherry on top was when they called my name, I I let out a yelp like a dog had been kicked because I was so shocked. But it was just a lot of fun. So yeah, and I
That's
was
awesome.
very, very honored to have been chosen.
Well, and you are, because of all the work that you do, right? You're putting a lot of things into play. And I talk about the 4 stages of growth all the time, about formulation, concentration, momentum, and stability. And because of the concentration that you do, the actions that you take, it's, elevated you into this momentum. And tell us the story. There's a story about someone in your company who just went to an event and came back and said, gee, Jen, you're everywhere. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, yes. There's a loan officer in my company, and there's 15 of us in our branch. So we have a pretty large branch. And he came back and he said, I went to this event and this event and this event this today. And he said, everywhere I go, the second I say the word premise, which is the name of the company, they're like, oh my gosh, premise. Do you know Jen Otto? And he was like, yes, yes, I do. I know Jen Otto. And so he was telling me this, and he was being very good natured about it, and a good sport. But he was like, it's literally everywhere I go.
Yeah, yeah. And
And so I just kind of laughed. I was like, well, I've been working hard.
yeah, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? This is what we are supposed to be doing, is if we're, and Grant Cardone says this is best known. I mean, oh geez, best known is better than best. Right. And so a lot of us say, well, I'm really good at my career and my tactical piece of this. I'm really, really good. In fact, I've had people say to me, gosh, if they only knew who I was, they would really want to work with me. And I go, yeah, that's the problem. So what I love is that you've done that, and you can back it with all this tenure and all the work that you put into your systems and those types of things over the last X amount of years of coaching and everything. But tell us really quickly about the other 2 events that you do, and then I want to talk about today's economy. So tell us about the other 2 events that you've been doing that have helped you get this market influence, because this is one of the key components to your success.
So my flagship event is Wine and Say Cheese, which is a very high-end luxury branding and lifestyle photography experience. And this will be our 5th year. So we've got some really, really great upgrades, even more upgrades for the event this year. We've just finished doing all of our branding with my brand designer. Big shout out to McKenna. And so we've got some beautiful stuff coming out. It's going to look different than it has in the past. It's going to be even more elevated than it has been. And typically in the past, this has been an invite only event. And so this year we are going to open it up more because last year we added a charitable component. And this year we really want to drive that home a little bit more for the charity that we are going to be picking. We haven't made a decision on our charity yet, but we do like to do this again in that early spring market so that the realtors can have this great branding photographs to be able to put on their flyers, to update their website, to do great social media posts, because really your online presence matters. How you look, your brand, how it's perceived definitely matters. And so we want to give people an opportunity to have some of these assets, these marketing assets, without really breaking the bank, and then supporting a charity on top of it. And then, oh, by the way, it's this great experience and this fun party and this whole like pampering thing. And so that is something that I've done for the past 4 years that I really believe has propelled me to the point where I was nominated last year for Ruthie's to lead me to kind of where I've been now. So that is something that, is kind of my signature event, is the wine and say cheese.
Yeah, I love that. And so let's talk briefly about the charitable component of this, because this is something, I've introduced to all of my clients. And how much of an impact has that had on making sure that every event that you have has a charity to attach to it?
I haven't quite gotten as good as doing every event, but every event that I possibly can, that I can figure out how to make that make sense, that has had a huge impact. Last year for my wine and say cheese, there was a lady in Clarksville who heard about it from another one of her friends, because again, it was invite only. And she called me and she said, it was the day of, she said, can I come? She's like, the charity you're supporting is fantastic, and I support them wholeheartedly. And I would love to come and, get my photos done and support the charity. And so she drove from Clarksville, which for those of you who aren't in Tennessee, it's about a 2-hour drive for her to get here, to have her photos taken, to pay money to participate, to support this charity. And she's a raving fan now. She tells all of her friends at her brokerage about this girl down in Murfreesboro that does blah, blah, blah. And so that's been really big, having that charitable component, because there are times when people are like, oh, another event, another this, another that, blah, blah, blah. But when they feel like they're able to be right, when they're able to be doing good, or they feel like they're really connecting with that charity, it makes them want to participate, because everybody wants to do good. We all want to support each other and help take care of whatever we're passionate about. And so for the people that really connected with that particular charity, it was huge for them. And, like they were just overjoyed and over the moon that we were supporting them, and they got something that they needed for their business anyway. It was just a really great event.
And statistically, people, we can talk about employees, but we also can just talk about people generally. Statistically, people will attend events, pay more money, right? Pay higher interest rates, pay more fees. They'll pay more because of the community involvement. And again, this falls back into know, like, and trust, not just that you are a loan officer, but that you are Jen Otto, who has this passionate side. And that is, again, another sticky thing, and it draws people to you. And I think it's wonderful. I commend you for doing it. And, for you listening, I've talked about it till I'm blue in the face, coming up on 12 years for this podcast is, you have to think about, these additional streams of income and putting other things together. So let's talk about this as we end our time now on, how has this been able to help your mindset while you're working through what I call, but I'll remind everybody, is being ready for when the when happens. Because like you said, rates will go down, the market will release, it will happen. And what you want to do is be in a position so that everyone can remember you. But it's so hard when all you have is loans, all you have is selling houses, and you don't have these other distractions, as you call them, right? But these are positive distractions that are going to continue to grow your business along. So how has it helped you in your mindset as you've gone through, a difficult time, still doing business, but not doing the kind that you have in the past? So give us some insight on the psyche of this as well.
That has been huge. The huge positive impact of having some sort of driving force every day to get up and to continue chasing something. For those of us who are, I don't want to say high achievers, it sounds like I'm tooting my horn, but for those of us who are very driven, who are very focused, who really need that drive, that thing, that passion to go after, is really getting us out of bed and getting us excited. It's kind of like death with 1,000 paper cuts, right? And so for this, like I said, I told my husband, this is either the greatest distraction my mind has ever concocted, or this was divinely inspired to give me something to have in place that is a true passion of mine. I love teaching. I love educating. I love cruising. And so to
Loving that.
combine those together has been absolutely a dream come true. Work.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
It has been a lot of work.
And it's not just now that you're going to do this. This is something that you're building for the future as well. And simultaneously, you're paying attention to your practice,
Correct.
your mortgage practice, so that you are ready for when the when happens. So this just gives you that additional, opportunity to meet with the people that you're working with. And I love that your additional rev stream is very tied closely to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
In your business already. So what is one of the things or a couple of things that keep you motivated on a regular basis? What are some of the things that you tap into that you could share with others as a tip or something that could inspire them to be tapping into it in today's economy, and especially as we're heading into the kind of dreary, dark winter months that we all experience, the holidays too?
So, I mean, first and foremost for me is I'm a person of faith. I know you talk about your faith a lot too, Jen, and that is what gets me through those really, really dark times. The other thing is just filling my mind with good, positive things, whether it's books, reading. I've done 75 hard 3 times, and part of that is reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day. Podcasts, I mean, I don't go anywhere without a podcast. I literally have it all queued up. And so podcasts are constantly playing. That's literally how I met Jen, 4 years ago. But that's really how I feel like that helps me the most. It's kind of the analogy. I know we've all seen the videos of the guy with the glass of water, right? And he dumps in a bunch of dirt and the water goes from clear to dirty and nasty. And then how does he clear water into it and it eventually cleans itself out? And I love that analogy, that picture, because that's how I really feel like a lot of the positive things, the podcasts, the books, is that if I'm constantly feeding myself this positive stuff, yes, the negative creeps in. It's like this black cloud sometimes that creeps in. And I'm human, you're human, we're all human. We have emotions, and I'm female, so I have hormones. And, so that like not every day is just like, woo, a best day ever. But I try to mitigate the darkness. I try to mitigate the yuck by putting as much light and as much goodness in as I possibly can. And so that's just kind of how I overcome it: is find a really great podcast, find a really great book, whatever really truly makes you feel good, that gives you that positive boost of energy. Do more of that and
Yeah.
keep doing that, especially on those days that are really hard.
Yeah. And, consistency is something that, is important to you, important to me. I talk about that all the time, is that continuity, the consistency, the mundane, right? That the daily, Darren Hardy says it's those insignificant small choices that add up to, great splendor in your life. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly what it is. And so I had introduced you to Living Your Best Year Ever, which is a journal system of creating rhythm with Darren Hardy, that I've used for 10 years, over 10 years now. You have it in front of me all the time, because I want that consistency. I need that consistency to keep me on track, because if we don't do that, how much money could we be leaving on the table when the when does happen? Yeah, you're going to get some phone calls. Yeah, some people are going to come out of the woodwork. But how much more could you have? I guess for me, it's the fear of leaving a whole bunch on the table. That's scary. Yeah, I got some, right? As a lender or a real estate agent. Yeah, we closed some more business. We have some more business. But the fear of, and it's not even a fear, it's just, it would make me sick to know how much I left and didn't get because I wasn't prepared, for that. So speak to that just a little bit about that consistency for you and being ready. And one of the things that you mentioned the other day was something that's popped up because there's so many people leaving the business that because you're there and because you're prepared, you've really been able to strike up some new relationships. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah. Um, there's, of course, we all have our wells that we have on our radar of people that, wow, it'd really be great to work with so and so because they do such a great business. And the other day I did get an opportunity. This person wasn't necessarily like, the big well, but does a lot of really great, consistent business. And she reached out to me and she was like, yeah, I couldn't get in touch with XYZ loan officer and found out that they were no longer in the business. And she was completely shocked because this was somebody who was pretty tenured, had been in the business for quite some time. She'd worked with the person for quite some time. And so, that was obviously an opportunity for me because I'd always kind of been on her radar and we'd been friendly. And, she would send me stuff from time to time. But then when she called this person and they were no longer available, she was like, well, guess I'm going to be working with you. And so that was great. I mean, obviously I felt very, very grateful for that opportunity. But that is something that, even in our sales meeting, our internal sales meeting the other day, they were talking about going through a survey. I believe that like realtor.com or some place had done this survey, and it was a whole bunch of stuff like how many people were first time buyers and all of this. But I really thought it was interesting when they talked about the loan officers and how many of them intended to renew their license, how many of them did not intend to renew their license. And it's very similar with real estate agents as well. And that's something that our team keeps really harping with us is, the opportunities are going to present themselves. It
Absolutely.
may not be today, but yes, being ready when the wins do happen. Because, and a lot of it too is, the loans that we are getting right now, those are our refinance pipelines down the road because, those people are going to want to take advantage of those lower rates when they fall. And just really that idea of, this business today, yes, this is helping us to pay our bills today, because that's kind
Yeah.
of where we all are. We're
Right.
counting on our fingers and our toes. How are we going to pay our bills, right? But then not only that, it's really setting up that annuity income that you talk about so often is, what is that going to look like down the road?
Yeah.
And, staying in touch with our past clients. I actually or my alumni, I just got a text this morning from a gentleman who bought with me 2 years ago. His father is following him, is moving to Murfreesboro. And he said, can I share your information with dad? Absolutely. Yes, you can all day long.
Wait, let me think
Can you
about
please
that.
introduce us
Yeah.
via text?
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love that. Yeah. Right now, your future is a series of nows. What you're doing right now is going
yes.
to depict your future. And, we're, as we head into winter for, and if God bless you, if you're not in the winter months, right? But for those of us who are in the winter area, instead of hibernating, think about hyper focusing. This is a perfect time to hyper focus, to reach out to your alumni clients, find out how they're faring in this economy. How are they faring with all the election stuff that's going on and all the wars that we're having? How are they? It's not calling and saying, hey, I'm, checking in, which, I can't stand, but, hey, I'm checking in, but rather, hey, I was thinking about you. How are you faring in everything that's going on in today's economy and what's happening in the world? I wanted to know how you're doing. It's the same verbiage. It's just the tonality changes, that shows, hey, I'm still here for you. I'm still caring for you. And, you're going to have great opportunities, Jen, as it comes up for, adopting mortgages. right? Adopt the loan program. You're going to have all kinds of opportunities that come up as a result of this. And especially with this agent, I would dig just one little step deeper, right? The ... method, go one step deeper and say, well, since they're not there, were there clients that you sent that you have the names, I'd like to reach out and adopt their mortgage. And then boom chaka, because now you're going to get their refis, right? So I just love that you're putting everything into action, everything into play. And I just want to say publicly again, it's such a pleasure to have you as one of our clients. And, it's just great. And I love what you're doing. And I really wanted you to share what you're doing with everybody else, and get the word out about CE at Sea. That's a really important thing. So if you're listening to, for those of you that I know you're listening, and it's not if, I know when you're listening to this, pay this forward. Forward this content to somebody who is in Tennessee, someone who could be a sponsor, who might be looking for that opportunity to go on a cruise and hang out with a bunch of people and, move their business forward for next year, get ready for when that win happens. So with that, what would you like to leave us with?
So I would just like to leave you all with love each other well. A lot of us are struggling. There are a lot of people who are unfortunately, making final decisions. And so I'm just reminded this week that, we really just need to love on each other, and especially going into the holidays. The holidays are so hard. People are so stressed out. And I am not always the best at this, but just try to love each other as best you possibly can. So that would be my leave with you guys. And I thank you so much, Jen, for having me on. And to everyone, if you've not considered working with Jen, I know Jen is very particular now. She's been able to elevate her clientele, but this is one of the perks I get for being her student. So if you haven't talked with her and how she can help you up level your business to breaking those new heights, I definitely encourage you to have a conversation with her, because she has definitely helped me to break through the noise and be able to focus on what I need to do to get to the next level in my business.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you. Thank you. That was not planned. Thank you. So again, everyone, well, I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you. So again, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day to listen in. Hopefully you got something new that you could be trying. Reach out to Jen, find out what she's doing, pick her brain on a few things. She's eventually she'll have to, you won't be able to do that, Jen. Well, maybe you could. I have a website called pickjensbrain.com.
Yeah.
pickjensbrain.com. Just put the second N, since you're the 2N Jen and I'm the 1N Jen, you probably have it available. But yeah, I have a website called pickjensbrain.com. And but pick her brain and get some collaboration going. You never know when you might have something in Tennessee that you need to work on, or if you're a real estate agent, you're a real estate broker, you're a real estate investor, and real estate agents. This is who you want to be sending to, because this is going to expand for the next couple of years. Get in at the ground floor. It is so important to be that. And again, this is her other business. This is her other business that she does. So again, thank you so much, Jen, for joining us today. And we will all catch you back on Mortgage Lending Mastery next time.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Be sure to subscribe to hear more sales tips, ideas, strategies, and tactics to help you with your personal and professional growth to multiply your results in record time. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Wanting more beyond the podcast? Join our Mortgage Lending Mastery membership community, where you will find extended interviews with our favorite guests, weekly training, tips, and insider secrets, fireside chats with Jen, free content, meet, share, and collaborate with other members, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about this exclusive content. Mortgage Lending Mastery is an Industry Syndicate charter podcast. Industry Syndicate is the first podcast network specifically for the mortgage and real estate industries. Get the Industry Syndicate app in the App Store or Google Play today.